Hey, welcome back to the Total Confidence Podcast. I'm your host, Ahmad Wazir. Hey, listen, I am feeling 1,000 times better than I felt last week. If you heard my show last week, I had to deviate from my original format and actually talk about what I was going through because it would have came off very phony if I would have tried to just proceed with a very technical, show about the head types, or the thinking types. So I deviated a little bit, and it came off to be one of my better shows. I talked about how I wrestle with depression and what it looks like coming from me as a type 5. So we're back on course right now. According to the Enneagram, there are 3 centers of intelligence. The body center, also known as the instinctual center, the heart center, also known as the feeling center, and the head center, also known as the thinking center. We did in the episode called The Heart 2 weeks ago. We talked about the heart center and went into the 2s, 3s, and 4s. And today we're going to do the head center, which is called the thinking center. By the way, I am springboarding off this book, wonderful book called The Enneagram and You, a hidden jewel. And it's written by Gina Gomez. So I thank you, Gina Gomez. Maybe one day we can have you on the show. Hopefully, that'll be good because I really appreciate your work in this. So, the head center. Type 5, 6s, and 7s reside in this center. The head center relates to rationality, analysis, ideas, planning, and prioritizing. The main focus is a deep connection with mental strength, intelligence, and the ability to effortlessly understand so that they can feel prepared, knowledgeable, and safe. Yes, that's me. I'm a 5, and I fill myself up with knowledge. Matter of fact, preparing for this show, I'm just dumping books into my head. I was reading The Wisdom of the Enneagram earlier, and it's like, even if it's not something that's pertaining to necessarily what I'm speaking on directly, I feel better when I'm just reading and taking in this information, even though I've taken in a lot of this stuff over the years. But even coming and doing a podcast like this, I feel safe when I can just digest some of that information. So, the common thread between types 5, 6, and 7 is their desire for security. Emotional theme is fear. The types in this center are trying to calm their anxieties. This is a direct result of these types not feeling safe. They need more certainty, reassurance, and opportunity to help minimize their fears. If they cannot manage to find inner peace and self-assurance, they will be overcome with irrational fears. Yes, yes, yes. Part of my depression, speaking for myself, is the fear that I will not figure out whatever I'm facing at the time. And if it's a financial problem, there's a fear that I'm not gonna get out of this. Even though God has brought me out of it 1,000 times. That fear, it's an irrational fear, it's paralyzing. And so, I'm thankful for the Enneagram because it gives me a tool to kind of understand myself, my patterns, and when I'm bugging a little bit, well, I'm not going to invalidate myself, these things from our childhood. We all have childhood trauma. I was watching, I cannot say the man's name, Gabor Mate. I'm messing his name all up, but he wrote a book called The Body Keeps the Score. And I was watching an interview with him, and he was saying, like, even the people who say, "Oh, I had a wonderful childhood," man, we all have some kind of bruising and damage in our childhood. So anyway, type 5. We'll start with the type 5. Type 5, the observer. Key desires. 5s want to be competent, autonomous, and capable. Yes, I pride myself on being competent. And if you want to get a fight out of me, then question my competence. Not a physical fight, but that rattles me. I'm a little aware of it now. So if I know you're trying to push my buttons, then I'll kind of, fall back. But I hate when people question my competency. I take pride in being efficient in what I do. Now, I don't know everything. Now, if it's something that I'm not used to doing, cool. So, key fears. Five's fear being helpless, dependent, and incapable. Yes, I absolutely abhor being dependent on people, which is absurd because we're all dependent on somebody in one way or another, right? So it's irrational. Again, irrational fear. Helpless. Yes, I do not like not having what I need, not having the resources that I need to make it. If you want to see me irritated, then catch me flat ass broke. You know, I do not like it. It triggers something in me. I hate the word trigger because people overuse it, but it absolutely disturbs my mindset in doing so. Dependent and incapable, yes, because I feel stupid, and I hate to not be able to do something and people are looking, because it definitely challenges some of my insecurities. Core values: autonomy, discovery, knowledge, self-reliance, innovation, privacy, intellectual conversations. Okay, so I have a hard time with small talk. When I'm making small talk, this is a confession, and a lot of people who know me personally gonna hear this. I am acting when 70% of the time when I'm making small talk with somebody, I am acting because I feel awkward. I feel like it doesn't make sense, and I'm not good at it. So I struggle with small talk. Like, yo, let's get deep into something that I like to talk about. You know, it's horrible. You know what I mean? Intellectual conversation, privacy. I need my privacy. I need my space. What's mine is mine. You know, and I'll give you an example of something small. My children will come in the room, and let's say my iPhone charger. I come home and they take my iPhone charger. I am so irritated. You know, even if it's right in the next room, because that's mine. I don't have a lot of personal possessions. So the few things that I do have, I don't want you touching it. I'd rather buy you something than to share those things. Excuse me. So strengths: cerebral, yeah, insightful. Now, this is true because, and I can't I'm not even going to intellectually try to explain it. I am blessed with the gift of insight, the objectivity, you know, the gift of objectivity, being able to see things from a different angle and seeing things deeper. You know, one of the best compliments my wife gave me years ago was, "You're one of the most fair people I have ever met." And that's a great compliment. Okay. Intellectual. Yeah, we're intellectual. And sometimes I over rely on that. But I'm not going to beat myself up. This ain't going to be the 5 beat up session. We're going to keep it upbeat and positive. Because last week's show was probably depressing enough as it is. Okay, so we're not going to go there today. I just talked about objective. Innovative, yes. I am. Listen, I'm a creative. Okay. Even the way I name these shows, you know, I do something different than most of the podcasts do, pertaining to the Enneagram. Now, we'll see if it's effective or not as over time. But I don't say, "Oh, I'm talking about the 5, 6s, and 7 this one." And I don't, nothing wrong with that, because it's spelling out what people, they come and zero right in on what they want. I kind of want to approach it differently. I want people to be able to listen to it no matter what I'm talking about. I don't want you to come on here and say, "Well, I just want to hear about that." That's fine, but it's a bunch of other shows you could do that with. The show itself is what I want you to like. Whether I'm talking about your type or other people's type, I want to share enough of myself. I want to give you enough information. I want to give you enough humor that you can listen to any show and be entertained by it, but learn something at the same time. So that's the innovative part. Dependable. Yes, I am dependable. I am. Wasn't always dependable now. But as I evolved over the years, I really tried to be a person that adds value to wherever I am. Okay? Challenges. Withdrawn. Yes. And the thing about being withdrawn, right? I could be in a room full of people, but if I'm not feeling comfortable, if I'm not feeling myself, then I can just kind of pull my energy in. So I'm physically there, but you can just kind of, psychologically feel this energy being pulled in like like a vacuum, so to speak. Intense. Yeah, I can be intense. The things that people kind of don't really care about, I can kind of go on, and people looking like, why are you so worried about that? Okay, so obsessive. Oh my God. I obsess over things. When I'm into something, I am into it. If you look at my Facebook or you look at my Facebook Reels or you look at my TikTok, Ahmad the Wazir, I am obsessed with these hats. You'll see these hats that I wear that I actually started wearing as a joke. The same hats that Walter White, the character on Breaking Bad, wore. I wore that as a joke. And I got compliments on it, so I started wearing them all the time. And when I'm into it, I'm into it. So I got like 8 or 9 different colors. I'm trying to resist buying another one. Because I obsess over stuff. If it's something that's bothering me, I obsess over it. I just had a friend tell me the other day that I could talk about the same topic for like a month or two. The same 1 or 2 topics. If I'm dealing with something or I'm stressed about something, I obsess over it. And I'm aware of that. Arrogant. Oh, whoa. Oh, my wife will probably say that, and my close friends will say that too. Now people on the outside, you're so humble. Yeah, I have my humility, but it's areas that I'm pretty arrogant in. I can be arrogant. I'm not gonna lie. You know what I'm saying? I can be arrogant, especially when you challenging something that I know. When you're in my wheelhouse and you challenging something I know, oh hell no. Do you have the weight for this? You know what I'm saying? So anyway, high strung. Yes, Jesus Christ. Detached and stingy. Oh my God. I am not stingy with money. Well, I'm stingy with money towards myself, but if somebody needs something and I got it, you got it. I'm stingy with my time, with my energy, and with my few little things. I hold on to it, but it's a fear-based. It's like, I'll be depleted. It's a psychological thing, okay? So 5s, again, and we talk about security points and stress points. So the Enneagram is a fluid model, okay? So even though my core is the type 5 and I'm going over some characteristics, each type, when they're in times of security, they'll take on the characteristics of another type. And when they're in times of stress, they take on characteristics of another type. Okay, so in security, the 5 moves towards the healthy characteristics of the type 8. And the type 8 is self-confident, open-hearted, and assertive. Okay, so normally the 5, when I'm not doing so well, I'm withdrawn, I'm quiet, I'm kind of just, don't want no confrontation. But when I lean into the type 8 part, then I'm assertive. Okay, which is healthy. If something's bothering me, we're going to have a conversation when I lean into my type 8. If somebody's screwing somebody over that I know, that protective part kicks in. The type 8s can be protectors of the people that they feel are vulnerable or weak in a certain area. I lean into that type 8. And assertive, or let's go back, open-hearted. Yes. Where I'm normally kind of into my own thing, the 8, I'm making room for other people, looking out for other people, challenging people on the behalf of other people. That is so me. All right, so stress. 5s move toward the average to unhealthy characteristics of the 7, which 5s can be insensitive. Woo, Jesus, yes. Ouch. Unreliable and scattered. Yes, now, when it's hard for me to get anything done. I could be paralyzed and I'm starting different projects. I'm doing 8 different things at one time, never finishing anything. Stretched thin, forgetting things, and so, that's so me. So I'll go into the blind spots. Okay. 5s usually have a vast knowledge on various topics and can unknowingly come across as arrogant or snobby. Now, this is hard to admit. I can be a snob. Not about person that has money, right? But I can be snobbish and only want to surround myself with people that I deem to be interesting. If you're not interesting, I can kind of not really gravitate towards you. I can kind of be cordial, but I surround myself with interesting people. And that's snobbish because everybody is interesting in one way or another, but God, I said I won't go make this depressing. Okay, this can cause people around them to shut down and creates a barrier for people to connect with fives. Yeah, if you're not interesting, and I just kind of, like it's hard for me to initiate like conversation with people unless it's around a topic that I'm interested in. So I can be there, and there's people they see me all the time, and I don't really go and shoot the shit with you. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's kind of cringy to think about that, but yeah, they often lack the awareness of how others are relating to them and might feel rejected by those who can't keep up with their intellect. This is so true. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. I'm on this whole intellectual thing, and people looking at me like a deer in the headlights because everybody don't necessarily have to have an intellectual connection with you, right? So, um, yeah, it's tough. It's tough. So, type fives in love. When fives choose to be in a relationship, their loved one can trust that they are very important to them and that they truly enjoy their company. However, fives still require a fair amount of alone time. Yes, I need alone time to recharge because interacting with people, especially all day long, I'm at work, you know, it drains me. So sometimes when I come home from work, I need like a moment to detach. And, my family, they're happy to see me, but I'm like spent, and they might not understand it. They just think, man, dad is just like, oh, he don't want to talk to us. It's like, nah, I'm spent. I need to recharge, yo. So, yeah. Um, their partner should recognize that five need to be alone is not something to be taken personally. Fives will feel loved and cared for if they're allowed to have this time to themselves without guilt. Yes, nothing personal. Now, again, anything in the extreme is not good. If I'm in the fucking bunker for like days, you know what I'm saying, and not interacting, yeah, that's something different. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough for everybody, How to love them. Fives value their autonomy and enjoy being with people who don't require a lot of emotional connection. This is true. It's hard for me to give validation. Because anything that just doesn't come natural to me, I feel like I'm like selling myself out. And that shouldn't be that way because we all have different needs, right? But it's really hard for me to just kind of, you know, if I ain't feeling it, and that's not realistic, right? Um, they are attracted to people who are also independent like them and share similar interests. This is true. My close friends share similar interests. We talk about, the Enneagram and self-awareness or music or movies or things that I'm into, right? A great way to connect with fives is they pick a topic they genuinely love and dive deep into the details. They'll love that. Now, I go on these Enneagram workshops, and sometimes I'm the sole five, or it might be two or three of us, and I'm a social five, so I love an audience, right? So people will ask me, like I've had people who are married to fives. I've had women say, my husband is a five, and how do I engage him? I said, listen, it's like putting a worm on a hook, right? This is the way you catch a five. Find what they're interested in and talk about it and get them going. And then you can shift the conversation to but you got to be smooth with it. You can't be too overt with it. You start talking to me about the Enneagram, or you start talking to me about self-awareness, or, whatever I'm interested in, then I can be swayed into other conversations. So that's a hack for fives, Um, so I see. I won't go more into that. Yeah. So we'll move on for the five. I do a lot of talking about the five. Um, type 6, the loyal skeptic. I have 2 children who are sixes. Okay, so this is definitely resourceful. This is a good resource, I should say. Key desires. Sixes want support and security. This is true. Both of my children who are sixes, they really want to be supported. They really want me to approve of what they're doing. You know, and security. They want to feel safe. Can I come to you? Key fears. Sixes fear being without guidance and support. It's true. My son, who's just turned 20, college student. Oh, one of the smartest people I've ever seen. I mean, this guy is brilliant. But still, you know, he recognizes that he needs guidance. So he'll call me, Dad, and ask my advice on things, because that's important. And it's not so much that he needs the advice, but he needs to feel I can go to my dad and he's there for me, because he's smart, what I mean. Core values, community. Yes, sixes are very loyal people. The people that they love. I got a brother that's a type 6. And I'm just being honest, I don't like the front on here. It's members of the family that we're not talking. What I mean? It's a rift between us. And it bothers him. I mean, it really bothers him that the family is divided like that. And one thing I can say his superpower is he's able to forgive people. And like me, it's very unhealthy. But you wrong me, then, I can just cut you off for a long time. That's not cool, but it's something that I do. And I'm kind of more awareness is being brought to it. And I'm kind of want to revisit and repair some relationships because, it's natural for me to do it, but it's not a virtue. Because we all wrong each other. Suppose God cut us off for the wrong that we do. So that's not a cool thing for me, But my ego had me so wrapped in it. But it bothers my brother, my oldest brother, you know what I'm saying? Saving money. Yes. Sixes are very good that I know at saving money and getting what they want. I mean, that's real. Commitment. Sixes, they value, friendship. They value family. They value that connection. They value when they say they want to do something, they want to do something. They want to be there for you. Security. Now, I want to talk a little bit about security, right? I work with a lot of type 6s. And one of the things I learned is when you throw a 6 off their routine, when there's a something out of the blue, there's a change, and they're not given time to prepare for, it upsets their sense of being secure. And so a lot of times they'll verbalize it, and it seems like they're complaining or they're just being passive aggressive, but they're just trying to process the feeling of, man, you disrupted my whole train of thought. You disrupted what I'm trying to do. And I had my mind set on how I'm going to do this. And now all of a sudden you change something out of the blue, so it disrupts them. Faithfulness. Yes. Sixes are very loyal. I had a manager that was a 6, and she very faithful to her staff. We were faithful to her, and she was faithful to us. And as long as we did what we were supposed to do, and as long as we were in the right, she had our back no matter what. And same thing, we had her. She was very big on loyalty, stability. Yes, sixes kind of like their routines. They like to know who's there, who's not going to be there. Collaboration. Yes, sixes, they like to be connected to the people that they love. So. Strengths for the type 6. Reliability. Yes. Most of the times, now again, there are times when we're not in the best state of mind. We're not in the best state of health. But the 6s are reliable. They're trustworthy. They're loyal, courageous, observant, witty, and perceptive. Let me talk about the witty part. Most of the 6s I know are funny as I don't know what. They're hilarious. Again, my brother's a 6. One of my daughters is a 6, and she's hilarious. She's funny, and that anxiety that they feel, they can use humor to kind of connect with people. It's amazing to see, Perceptive. Oh my God. 6's superpower is they can see things that other people don't see, and they're running different scenarios in their head. Like, oh, did you see this? Well, Dad, did you think about this? Oh, it's amazing. So. The challenges for the 6, they can be anxious. Yes, always on 10. Pessimistic. This rubs people the wrong way, but they're wired to kind of look at things and the angle, and what if this happens and everything. They kind of look at things because they want to be prepared. They don't like to get caught off guard. Defensive, reactive, suspicious. Yeah, they can be very suspicious of people's motives. Contradictory and hypervigilant. Yes, sometimes they feel like, man, I was talking to a guy at work the other day, and we were talking about the Enneagram, and I said, he said, what type do you think I am? You're not supposed to say that in the Enneagram dogma, but he asked me, shit. I said, man, I think you're a 6. And he was like, oh, yeah? I said, do you check your locks at night a couple of times? He was like, yeah. And I asked him a series of questions, man. Do you troubleshoot and think things through? Yeah. And then he started explaining why, hypervigilant, man. They're. So, in times of security and stress, again, like I said, for the type 5, we go to the type 8. We take on the characteristics because we're not all one thing. The Enneagram is a fluid model. So, we move in different places throughout life, okay? So, the type 6 in security, they move towards the healthy characteristics of the 9. So, where the pessimistic, looking for the bottom to fall out, when they're in a place of security, they can be optimistic. Yeah, you know what? This is going to work out for me. They can be calm. It's like the 9 is very peaceful. So the usually high-strung on 10, 6 is calm and adaptive. 6s usually don't like when there's a change. But when they're in a place of security, it doesn't rattle them so much. Under stress, 6s move towards the average to unhealthy characteristics of 3s. And they can be terrified of failure because type 3s, they want to be seen as successful. Arrogant, where the normal calm, subdued 6, is, kind of chesty and opportunistic. Excuse me, Jesus. So, yeah. I haven't seen too much of that, in my children or the 6s that I have, in my life. So blind spot. 6s devote a great deal of their time and energy to all the things that can go wrong. This habitual approach to life can look like negative behavior to others. 6s are unable to identify this cycle for themselves. If their pessimism is pointed out, 6s may descend into a psychological cycle of doubt, anxiousness, and avoidance. Yeah, they can doubt themselves, And, I just think about my children, bless them. The children that are 6, Dad, what if this happens? And one of the things I hope my daughter don't mind me sharing is she'll just ask me, she works out and everything. Dad, has my face, do my face look smaller? Or do it look like I gained weight? And I'm like, no, you look the same. Oh, you just saying that, Dad? Because they doubt, things. So 6s in love. Needs. Most people, this is important, because people need to be loved the way they want to be loved, right? So most people involved in loving relationships will have different opinions from time to time. But 6s need to know that even though they and their loved one may not see eye to eye on something, that person still loves them and cares about them. That's important because they're always doubting. There's this fear that the bottom is going to drop out. So they require a lot of reassurance. Okay, they need to be reminded that it's okay to express opposing points of view as long as there's mutual respect for them. In a supportive, non-judgmental environment, 6s can feel relaxed and optimistic about being in the relationship. So, in a place of security, again, these personality types are defenses against our environment. These are things that and early on in life, again, some people think it was prenatal. Some people think it's part of our early development as children. But nonetheless, these are not our natural essence. This is just a defense, to protect our essence. Okay? So that's the type 6. And like I said, I got 2 children that are 6s. I got some 6s in my life. And very smart people, very funny, and very thorough. So type 7s. I got 2 children that are 7s. The type 7 is the enthusiast. Key desires. 7s desire freedom, contentment, and having their needs fulfilled. Yes. 7s do not like to be restricted. They want to be happy. They want to, enjoy what they're doing, and they want to take care of what they want to take care of. Sevens, they desire whatever they desire in that moment. They want to find a way to do that and feel fulfilled. Key fears: sevens fear being in emotional, physical, or mental pain, or being deprived. Yes. So one of the things I learned with type sevens is they don't really like to dwell in the dark areas of life, and they can kind of put an optimistic spin on things. They don't really like to stay there. You know what I mean? They might have times where, and I've seen this. I got a daughter that's a six. I'm sorry, a seven, and a son that's a seven. Okay, and even when I'm correcting them, there's this energy in their body, like, okay, let's move on. All right, I got you. All right, Dad. Okay, cool. Key fears. I just said that. Okay. Core values: pleasure. Sevens love to get into something different, and they get excited about, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going here. Independence. They want to move the way they want to move. They value their friendships. I hear my type 7 daughter. She talks about like all of these friends. She has like a million friends, and that she values that. That's important. Having enjoyable opportunities every weekend. Dad, I'm doing this. I'm going here. I'm going here. I'm going there. Can I do this? Having a variety of experiences. Again, they want to feel full, of life. Optimism. The glass is half full. And the thing about it is, even sometimes, and I will give this an example. This is not true. It's kind of exaggeration, but a seven can wreck your car, and they have a way of reframing things where they wreck your car, they borrowed your car, they wreck it. They say, well, you know what? You didn't really like that car anyway, and now you got to get a new car. So I'm excited for you. They could have that optimism and sense of adventure. Yeah, hey, what's going on? What we doing? Oh, I'm going here, I'm going there. Their strengths: foresighted, energetic. Oh man, sevens, when they on their game, they can bring that energy into the room. They're funny. They can command the audience. It's amazing to watch. Quick thinking on their feet. Witty people, very witty, spontaneous, practical, flexible, enthusiastic. Yeah, I mean, they think on their feet. They're real quick. It's amazing to see them in action. Their challenges: they can be impulsive, irresponsible. The sevens, they don't like to deal with some of the tedious things in life. You know what I'm saying? So they can kind of push some priorities to the side and in exchange for doing what they really want to do. Unrealistic, impatient, scattered, insensitive, and undisciplined. Yeah, it's, I just want to do what I want to do in the moment. It's YOLO. You know what I'm saying? So I've seen this. So yeah. Again, we talked about security. When we're in a state of security, the Enneagram is a fluid model. So when we're in a point of security, we can take on the characteristics of another type. And then in stress, we take on the characteristics of another type. And it flows across the board. In security, sevens move toward the healthy characteristics of fives. Become observant and intentional and able to sit with their uncomfortable emotions. So the seven, who's normally moving on from one thing to the other, just kind of, their minds are so fast, they're listening to you, but they can get bored real easily and just kind of check out, and they're all three thoughts down and you still talk about the same thing. But when they're in a place of security, they calm down, that energy, and they can sit there and be observant and just kind of be with you in that moment. They can be intentional, where instead of sporadically moving and this scattered approach, moving from the honeybee thing, jumping from here to here, flower to flower, they can kind of telegraph their actions and able to sit with their uncomfortable emotions. So as opposed to reframing and spinning it or bouncing out of an uncomfortable thing, they can in security, they can deal with the things that are really bothering them. And I've seen this with my children, throughout time and everything, where, and it can go on and on. I realize, like, I got to kind of pull out that more because they look like they're happy all the time, but There are things that are bothering them. They're just pressing it down and pressing it down and pressing it down. And so I kind of know to be aware of that. Under stress, sevens move toward the average to unhealthy characteristics of type ones. And they can become perfectionistic, overly critical, and self-righteous. And I have seen this where the fun, happy, was it jolly-go-lucky? Is that what it is? I don't know. They can become very critical. I've seen it. They can get the white glove thing going now. All of a sudden, this rigidness and very critical, and the fun part is out the door. They're looking at what's wrong and trying to correct things, and self-righteous. Like, yeah, it is something to see them in that space. I've seen some of the sevens that I'm close to really go there, and it's just surprising to see that the fun is out the door, and little things might upset them, and they become real critical of people. It's something to behold. So, yeah, I can relate to that. Well, I've seen that, so to speak. Blind spots. Type 7s can digest and understand context fairly quickly, but sometimes won't grasp the full extent of a situation before prematurely jumping into action. They might proclaim to have an expertise when they really don't understand the depths of the matter. This can look misleading to people who may question their capabilities. There's a 7. I saw this where a 7 was talking about. I think he was talking about like zodiacs or something, and it's a family member. And there was another family member that was a type 8, and she took him to task. And she was like, because sevens they're very good at looking, because they know a lot about they know a little bit about a lot of things. Not that they don't have areas of expertise, but they can be very what's the word? Convincing. Okay, so he's talking about the horoscopes and stuff, and this is something she really studies. And she's like, nah, that's not it. And what made you say that? And I could just see him kind of wiggling out of it and everything. So yeah, they could kind of take a bit and run with it, and not really know the depths of it and everything before really trying to speak on some things. So last but not least, the 7 in love. Sevens need a partner who will be flexible like them, spontaneous and fun-loving. Man, trying to pin a 7 down is it's a recipe for disaster. They want their freedom. They want to be able to move the way they want to move, when they want to move. It's just very important for them to not feel restricted. This will have 7s feeling as if they found their soulmate. However, they also need to be reminded to slow down their impulses every once in a while. They are pretty independent, but do enjoy being in the company of their partner. Quality time is usually this type's love language. They need a partner that's going to roll with them. You know what I mean? That's going to be on the go. Now, that's not realistic always, man. You're wired a certain way, and your partner might not be wired to be going to a different event every week. So, it's a challenge in that way. So how to love them. Ultimately, 7s want companionship, love, and freedom. They enjoy having stimulating conversations and planning adventures. All 7s love planning. Just watch them just talk about the possibilities of what they want to get into. It's amazing. I got a friend that's a 7, and his email, the word plan was in his email. They love planning. I was talking to a 7 the other day, and she was just talking about, I want to do this and do that, and it's just amazing, man. The actual thought of doing something new is very stimulating for them, They don't like to be told what to do or be limited in any way. Usually, they are focused on the future of things they are so focused on the future of things that they appreciate the reminder to enjoy and savor the present moment. Beautiful. Because again, these things are defenses. It's not our natural way of being. So these personality structures are our ways of trying to keep ourselves safe. and most of them have outlived their purpose. And you never lose your personality. It's just that as you study these things and bring the awareness to it, you're not like on autopilot and just doing this response. It's just like having a car and it's just programmed all the way to go a certain way. But there are changes on the road and conditions on the road that if you don't have the flexibility to, adapt to your situation, then you're going to run into some things and run into some problems. So it is with the Enneagram. We're wired for certain things, but it got to be fluid. But when we're under the constrictions of our personality, we miss out on a lot. We have the wrong response or not the best response to different situations. And so I think I'll end it there. This has been about the head types. So if any of this sounds familiar, you can let me know. And God willing, because I never know how it's going to go, I kind of go with the feeling. Next week we're going to talk about body types. We did the heart types, we did the head types, and we'll do the body types. That's going to be fun because I got some good friends that are body types. So this has been Total Confidence Podcast. I'm your host, Ahmad. Thank you for listening, and talk to you soon.